Welcome back to part 3 with Ilene Dillon. This is Light Up Vichwa podcast that you are watching or listening. I hope you have enjoyed part 1 and 2 with her and will continue to watch the rest of the series. If you have any questions, any comments, any feedback, please send me through my website or the comment box, and you can ask any questions to Ilene. As she was on Facebook Live last week, and she might come again if she has some time. So stay tuned and keep watching Light Up Vichwa podcast. Subscribe, share, rate, and review, and send your feedback and comments. Thank you. Nice. All right, let's come to you a little bit more than what we have done so far.
Oh, really? There's more?
So, anything you like about yourself and anything that you would like to change about yourself?
Well, I've actually come to love myself. I realized in my 20s, late 20s, I realized that I held a belief that I was unlovable. And so I have taught myself to love myself. Which was not so easy because when you haven't been loved and you haven't experienced it, it's hard to define it and hard to give it to yourself. But it is possible, which I write about in my book.
Okay.
No, I mean, there are always things that we might wish to change about ourselves, maybe. But I'm kind of at the place where, no, there's not a lot that I want to change. I don't have any big issues.
Big issues, yeah.
I'm
Anything
really
little?
happy.
Anything small?
Well, I haven't totally put the money piece together, and I consider that part of my learning. I've been a person who gives away my abilities and my knowledge and so forth. So I haven't looked after myself financially as much. And that had to do with learning. I realized actually this past summer that I was holding a belief that there was no point in identifying what I really want in life, because during my childhood and young adulthood, every time I had something that I thought was mine, it was taken away from me. And so why bother to identify something that you want to make yours? Nice. And that has been really amazing to me. All these years, 76 years, I didn't get that until this year. And it's made a huge difference in terms of money flow.
Okay.
Interestingly enough,
That's interesting. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And so we run our lives on the basis of our beliefs. So an easy way to find out what your belief is, you have an experience, you say, what would I need to believe in order to create this experience for myself? And then you can work with that belief.
Yeah.
So that's I continue to work with my beliefs, but I'm in that wonderful state of bliss where I don't quite know what they are until they show up. So I'm not agonizing over them.
That's good. So you would can we say that you are fairly a happy person?
I'm a very happy person.
You stay happy?
And the biggest change that I made back in the early 90s, in 1994, I wrote a series of manuals for parents, helping them to teach their children how to deal with emotions. They were called Exploring Love with Your Child, Exploring Anger with Your Child. And I have some of those available on...
I was going to ask, is it on your website?
It's on my website, and also they're available through Amazon, I believe. I'll have to check on that. But I've rewritten them, and I've updated a few of them, so they're now called the ABCs of anger and the ABCs of love and the ABCs of loneliness. Okay.
Wonderful.
But during the time I was writing, I did research on love. And one of my resources said, love is love is love. It doesn't matter if you are loving somebody else or loving yourself. It's still the same love. But what does matter is whether you choose to make love the guiding principle of your life. That you're going to love yourself, You're going to love other people. You're going to love whatever happens in your life. And I decided at that point to choose to make love the guiding principle in my life. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that has made a profound difference in my life. Everywhere I go, I make friends. I used to cry in my 30s. I cried myself to sleep because I didn't have friends. In fact, I'm writing a book called I Didn't Come Here to Have Friends, right?
Wow, okay.
And now everywhere I go, um, it's like, come and stay with us. Stay as long as you want.
Yes,
You're
yes,
welcome here
yes.
anytime, which is amazing and wonderful. And I think it's one of the reasons that I've had such good experiences as I travel around is because what's inside of me gets mirrored from outside. I was in a campsite recently, and I was going to stay a couple days longer, and I needed to move from this campsite here to this place to park my van over here. And the camp director came by just as I was getting ready to move and pointed out to me that somebody had mistakenly moved into this place that I was supposed to take
So how
over.
far was that? Like for our listeners, those who are not watching your hands.
It wasn't a matter of more than 30 feet
Oh, okay.
from
Okay.
where I was. It was not very far, but these people were in the place that I was supposed to go. And the camp director said, I'll have to get them to move. Well, the place next to them was open. I said, I'll move over there. I don't have a problem. Oh, no, that would make too much paperwork. And she made them move. And they got really pushed out of shape about it, right? They had just been going through so many things you have to do to set up, right? So when I parked my van in the new place, I went over and introduced myself, and I said, I'm really sorry that you had to move. I would have been happy to move here myself, but that didn't work for the campground host. And I just wanted you to know and thank you for moving for me. And they were like, they were kind of irritated. So the next morning, I'm dealing with a problem that came up, a serious problem regarding my book, a technical issue. And I'm on the phone and so forth. And the wife of that couple comes over to me and interrupts me. And I'm thinking, oh no, what now? You know what she said? My husband and I are going into town and we want to know if there's anything we can bring to you.
Oh, nice.
You see what happens?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Doing good brings you good.
Everywhere.
Simple formula.
Everywhere.
Whether you say it in any language with any words, it's the law of retribution that we have in our tradition. It's the law of as you sow, so shall you reap. Karma, however you want to say it.
That's with the self-esteem, not deliberately hurting others, is all about taking retribution.
Yes.
Not a good idea, destroys your own self-esteem.
So, yeah.
Not only do you get it back, your self-esteem goes down.
Yes, you do. It has negative effects. That's right.
So I'm really happy to be at the stage where I am, that I'm not hugely, and maybe my relatives would say there's some specific things I need to change.
Somebody will always have something to say about you, but we are asking.
I'm pretty darn happy with my own
with
self
yourself
at this point.
That's right. Wonderful. What is a healthy, fulfilling life? And then I'll move to my last questions.
Whatever is healthy and fulfilling for each person, we all get to determine that. I'm facing older age, and especially as I started out 2.5 years ago, I spent a lot of time thinking about, well, how do I want the end of my life to be? And how do I achieve what I want? Well, I want the end of my life to be vital and involved, and I'll drive as long as I can be safe, and I thought of a baseball game. In a baseball game, when a person is on third, they are aiming for home, and they can go in to home plate either of two ways. They can go in sliding on their belly, or they can go in standing up.
Yeah.
And I decided that the way I want to end my life is to go into home plate standing up. And that means that I keep living my life in the ways that have brought me fulfillment to this point, and add what other things I wish to add to make me feel good about who I am and to help me be as loving as I can possibly be.
Thank you. So, can I ask you, how do you want to be remembered?
That's an interesting thing. I don't put much into that at all.
That what people would think?
Well, I had an experience. I used to go backpacking for a week at a time up in the Marble Mountain Wilderness area by myself.
Where is that?
In California, Northern
Okay, okay,
California, Marble
okay,
Mountain Wilderness
okay.
area. Every year, because I was a therapist and a single parent, I had to get away from the craziness of my life. And
Mm,
that's the way I did it. Just me and my dog knew hand signals, so I didn't have to talk for a week or answer anybody's questions. It was a really good thing to do. But I was there one night and I got afraid because the wind was whipping up and I had a fire and the fire was. And anyway, I had learned that the way to deal with things is to face facts. So I started looking for, what am I really afraid of? And I thought, well, I'm afraid of dying. Well, that didn't help me a bit. I didn't feel any less afraid. So then I looked at, what am I really afraid of? I'm afraid of dying here in this wilderness and nobody misses me. Nobody knows I'm gone,
mm,
which means I'm afraid of being incognito, of being nothing,
mm.
right? And I started, as a result of that, looking at some of the people, like my grandfather, when he died, people came from 7 states around to celebrate his life. And then I looked at John F. Kennedy. People all over the world knew him and mourned his passing. And yet, by the time I was having that experience, there were people who never heard of John F. Kennedy, who never knew my grandfather existed. And I realized that human beings are both the most important and the not important at all at the same time. And so I don't have a picture for how I wish to be remembered. I just encourage, if you want to remember me for what's important to you.
Thank you. um, what is the value of gratitude in your life?
Oh, well, we all know that gratitude is a kingpin, you know. What it does is, remember I said pay attention not to what you want to overcome, but to what you want to become? Well, that's what you're doing when you do gratitude. You're
Mm,
looking at what it is that you really like to be in your life, how it is that you really like to relate in your life, what makes you feel good. You
mm,
know, that's
mm,
what gratitude does. And that means you're constantly uh, looking to the best in you and the
mm.
best in your world. And that's what it does for me. You know, I'm extremely grateful to have my health, to be able to see well at this point. I have a little hearing loss, but I'm grateful that my hearing still works. And I'm grateful for all I have been able to learn, despite the fact that, you know, I had a terrible childhood and my first husband left me and I was a single parent and all the
Mm.
challenges that I went through. I'm grateful for those because they made me who I am,
Thank you.
or I made me who I am by
Yes.
dealing with them. However you want to look at it.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, any message of hope? I know you have given us hope, but any other message of hope for the youth?